뭐가 지났다? Hi and welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to make one of my favorite pastas in the world, or well, sauces, which is pasta alla puttanesca. The real version, not the weird stuff that you find all over the internet without anchovies, without garlic, without chili. That's not pasta alla puttanesca, that's just random stuff that you put in your pasta. So today we're going to make the real one. I actually wanted to make my own pasta, but as usual I got lost in outer space and realized that, ooh, it's already time to eat and I haven't done anything. So yeah, we're going to use the store-bought, why can't I talk? The store-bought type of spaghetti that I have at home as a staple food, obviously. Let's get to the ingredients. So for our real puttanesca, we need fresh parsley, but that's only for garnish. Tomatoes. I use 6. They have to be fresh, they have to be ripe, and I'm going to show you how to peel these. Anchovies. Not the white version. These are called alici in Italian, and it's different from the anchovy. It's a different type of fish, and it's a different way of preserving them. These are very salty, so if you eat them alone, you probably won't like them. 1 clove of garlic. Chilies. Technically you use fresh chilies, but I didn't have chilies, and since I love chilies, I always had very hot chili flakes at home. Capers. These ones are stored in salt. If you don't find the ones in salt, you can use the ones in vinegar. Both have to be soaked in water, preferably hot water, for 15 minutes, 30 minutes. The longer you soak them, the more they lose the vinegar flavor or the salty flavor. Olives. I'm using green ones because black ones most of the time have a type of food coloring that makes them black, which is not exactly great for your health. So I'm using green ones, and yes, I am a junkie, so yes, I have a jar of, or tin can of 1 kilo of olives, and I love them. Then we have olive oil. This is in a very fashionable bottle. It's a water bottle. It's from my parents' garden. It's from my parents' garden, so it's 100% pure, 100% organic, and who cares about the bottle, right? What else? Oh yes, it might be that you don't need salt because of, for me, the capers are already in salt, so they're probably going to have still some of that salty flavor, and the anchovies are already salty, so I'm not planning salt at the moment. In case of needing salt, I'm someone who eats a lot of salt. I know it's not good for you, and you can add it when the dish is ready. And we will be using pepper, maybe, perhaps, but that's not a must. So let's get started. Let's start first with the tomatoes. So for taking care of our tomatoes, we will need a bowl, our tomatoes, a sharp knife, and water. I'll just put it into the kettle and let it boil. It has to be boiling water. So we start by practicing an incision like a treasure, an X at the bottom of the tomato, and place it into the bowl. Now we wait for the water to boil. There it comes, it's still boiling. We pour it over the tomatoes. They should be as covered in water as possible. And we wait for about 5 minutes for the peel to come off. In the meantime, we're going to chop our olives and take care of our capers. First, we have to rinse our capers to get rid of the remaining salt and the water, obviously. So ideally, you want to use, I don't know, 1 or 2 handfuls of olives, and you want to cut them into slices. But you can also chop them up roughly if you are too lazy to cut every single one. I will be cutting them, chopping them randomly. This should be good enough. You put it aside. Next up, we chop roughly our capers. I know they're already quite small, so if you are very lazy, you can also keep them as they are. I personally do that every now and then. There we go. Next, we will be taking care of our tomatoes so that we have everything ready for when we make our sauce, because it's quite quick and it's not very tedious to make it. So I'd like to be prepared. So our 5 minutes have passed. Our tomatoes are ready for business. So let's take care of our tomatoes. Let's drain the water first. Let's take the babies out. This is going to be messy. I'm just warning you. So here's our tomato. Where we placed the incision, we can easily peel it off. So we have a peeled tomato. So we do that with every single one. I do one after the other. The peel we don't need, so we can toss that out. We cut our tomato. We remove the green stem. And we remove the seeds. Now we chop it and put it aside. So we're finally done. Here's our tomatoes. You may see some seeds, that's okay. The majority is gone, that's what we wanted. So let's proceed to the stove. So now we have our frying pan. You can use any type of pan or skillet, and our water for the pasta, which does not have to be in focus. We start by heating up our pasta water because we'll be making our pasta. At the same time, we'll be making our sauce. We start by heating up the pan. Now we add some olive oil. I always pour enough to more or less cover the bottom of the pan. We proceed with the anchovies. Our garlic. I usually crush it in a garlic crusher, if it collaborates. So. Try not to throw garlic everywhere. And our chilies. I like it hot, so a lot of chilies. We heat it until our anchovies more or less melt or dissolve. Won't be long. Be careful not to burn your stuff or your sauce. If you think it's getting too hot, you can always lower the temperature. Looking good. Next up, we add our olives. Our capers. And stir it a few more minutes until all the flavors have mingled and are nice. So this looks nice. Now we add the tomatoes. We reduce the heat. and we mix it well. So, story time. The name Puttanesca translates more or less whore noodles. The reason of the name is wrapped in legend. There are many reasons and legends that narrate the origin of the name. One of the most reliable ones and probable ones is that it contains a lot the ingredients that are cheap. The anchovies were the more or less garbage fish, the one that no one wanted to eat. They were very cheap. They're still very cheap. Tomatoes, everyone had tomatoes. Olives, everyone had olives. Capers usually grow as weed on walls. So it might be that the reason why it's called like this is related because it's part of a food or a dish for poor people, and prostitutes being part of the poor part of society, the women that had to work for a living, that didn't have or couldn't rely on a husband or a family to take care of them, had to fall back on cheap ingredients, and one of them being the ingredients for the sauce. So the water is about to boil. I need salt. Let me climb to the other side. Here we go. Off focus. We put big salt, how do you call it? Salt flakes into our into our water. Excuse me. We take our fancy pasta. This should be enough. Give it a twirl. Don't set any alarm because an Italian feels when the pasta is ready. And now we wait for the pasta to be done. If you want to know if the pasta is ready, and by ready I mean al dente, you take a fork, you take a lucky winner. Another minute. One more minute. So, next lucky one. Oh yeah. Yes. Turn it off. Get rid of the water. Now, here we have our sauce that is nice and ready. Here we have our pasta. We place it, pour it over the sauce. Now, without making too much of a mess, you try to mix it. The fire is still on a very low temperature. It's what we call in Italian mantecare la pasta. It serves or helps mixing the sauce with the pasta, because there's a whole religion on what pasta type goes with what sauce, but I'll tell you another day. As usual, I have this problem of using a pan that is too small for the purpose, and I end up with this mess. But everything's fine. See? Now we switch the heat off, everything's off. Our pasta is ready and we're ready to serve. So for garnish we will be using parsley. We'll be chopping it up, and we will be using the stalks too, because we try to throw away as little as possible, and because the stalks have actually quite a strong flavor. We chop it, it doesn't have to be too fine. If you don't have parsley, you can also use basil, or if you prefer basil, you can use that. You can also use, well, basically any type of fresh herbs that you might have laying around. You can also use preserved herbs, dried ones, frozen ones. There we go. So here's our ready spaghetti alla puttanesca, drizzled with some parsley on top, all nice and fancy. This is how I show it to you to seem like a normal person. Then again, I have a version of the real me, of how I would eat it if I'm not taking a video and I'm not trying to make a tutorial on how to cook something, and I'll show you. I take the whole pan, plate, so this is more like real. This is like how you want to appear on social media, and this is the real you. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you again in the next one. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you would like more videos of me trying to cook something, leave a comment, subscribe, whatever, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!